people are afraid of changes. And when you have to make a change, even though you know it would be best for you or it would be best for the entire situation, it's an unknown element. You don't know how it's going to be. And when you're living in a situation, even though it may be less than desirable or even miserable, you know what to expect. In 1983, my husband of 20 some odd years died. I chose to relocate my family. The marriage had not been a good marriage. It was over with, and I was ready for a change. Eventually, after I got set up, I met someone and I decided I wanted to start dating. So I met this guy and I started dating him. He just seemed perfect. He seemed to be a God-fearing individual. He seemed to like my children. He was interesting, and he was so kind and so accommodating to me. So this relationship began to grow, and after some time, it matured to a level that should have been a committed relationship. It was committed on my part because I was monogamous with him. That's all I had ever known to be. And I assumed that he was also. As time went on, I found out that he really wasn't committed to me. I had been in a relationship where I had been lied to before by my previous husband, so I was used to accepting lies and going back and making commitments again and just brushing it under the rug, so to speak. So I continued the relationship. It went on for quite a few years. My son at the time was a teenager and was having problems, and I didn't feel that this person was really supportive and wanted to be involved, you know, in my problems with my son. So I just kind of let it float on. It was convenient. I was working. I was not, it was just convenient, and I didn't have to make any additional changes. I was just still coming off of all the major changes that I had made. So I was, of course, avoiding the reality that this was not a person to be trusted. After contemplating it for some time and discussing it with my children, they really felt like, what's the difference? You've been with him this long, why would it matter? What can possibly be any different? And I thought, well, okay. So I married the man. And boy, did I find out what the difference was. Immediately, the marriage went totally south. The relationship went south. It was a total control. It was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. And I knew right then from the beginning, run. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, this will change. But his behavior became more and more bizarre, and I just really felt threatened at that time. The family that we tried to blend was being broken apart again. He was seeing a psychiatrist, which I at that time found out about, and he was on mental health medication, which I did not know at the time I married him. I believed, and why I don't know, but I believed everything that came out of his mouth. The reality is, he was a manic depressive. He was a narcissistic psychopath. I mean, I just didn't know it. So his quote to me was this: you want a divorce? I'm going to show you what a Texas divorce is. Well, brother, he did. I left with little more than my underwear, and I was just out of there. The longer I was away from him, the more I did begin to see and realize the reality of how sick of an individual he really was, and he truly was a total threat to me. He did pass away a couple of years later, a very lonely person. Everybody has to look for red flags in a situation. If it doesn't seem right, it's not. You have to learn to trust your own instinct, and you have to learn to trust God, and you have to learn to trust and believe that God will provide for you and protect you in everything. But in order to do that, you have to give up of yourself.